Welcome to the Sweet Life Coaching Podcast, connecting real people with expert advice to achieve a healthier lifestyle and live a more fulfilling and abundant life. Here is your host, Coach Tavia.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm your Coach Tavia. And today, you guys, I brought you another fabulous guest. You guys know I like to bring the special and the mostest with the hostess, if you will. So today we have another guest that I'm bringing in, Miss Akitra Thompson. Hi, Ketra.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So I've been really excited to bring this podcast to the locals, to the world, whoever's watching this. And guys, the reason why I'm bringing Ketra on today, I'll tell you a little bit about her just real briefly here in a second, but she actually is a hypnotist, not hypnosis, hypnotist. And she actually, the reason why I know her is because she was a client of mine a couple of years ago, or was it last year? 2 years ago, wasn't it? Anyways, doesn't matter. Anyways, she came to me and so we got to know each other that way. And then now she is doing her own thing. And so she helps people discover their own worth by changing their internal emotional triggers, which can currently harm the dynamics of relationships in their lives. And so what she does is through reframing your subconscious beliefs, the subconscious belief system. And she gets to the heart of what drives unwanted patterns. And you guys know me too. I've done some life coaching, but this is such a deeper level that I am not fully trained in. So she also gets her clients to create the lifelong transformations through customized hypnosis and her Relational Connection program, which we're going to talk about that. As a hypnotist and relational connection coach, Ketra also taught everything from marriage classes to parenting classes to even divorce recovery. Her YouTube tutorials have reached thousands. Yay. So we'll have to hit a subscribe button. I'll get that link for everybody. And she is known for her boundary badass method of relational healing. Oh, that's so great. So when she's not helping others to empower themselves, she is hanging with her family, snuggling with her doggie, and photographing the sunrise, which I've seen those. It's amazing. Yeah. Because you live in Prosser, right? Don't you live in
No, I'm in Richland.
Oh, you're Richland. I think you're in Prosser.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So anyways, welcome to the show. Super excited. We're going to start off by, first of all, this relational connection program, you just got me intrigued, right? But before we do that, just give everybody a little bit of what actually is hypnosis therapy, what you do, kind of background. Because I know for me, when I think hypnosis, I think a bunch of funny people acting like ducks and animals on the stage and being funny and goofy, right? That's what I know of hypnosis. I'm like, it scares me.
Totally. You know? Yes.
So I want to kind of kick that myth of that's not what it is,
Yeah, absolutely. So people think about hypnosis based on what they've seen on TV or in movies, because sometimes, movies predict it as this sort of magical, weird thing, right? But it really isn't. What it is it's a focused state of relaxation. And so what happens in that focused state is that we can bypass the critical factor. So let me just explain for a minute, if we have the time to explain what that means. Right. So we have the conscious part of our mind, and then we have the subconscious part. Well, the conscious part is, when we're doing a math problem, 2 + 2 or whatever, we're using our conscious mind, but it only has so much power. It only holds like 7 to 9 bits of information. And so that's also where our willpower lives, and it is limited in its power, right? So then we have our subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is something that we start out with like a blank slate. So we're born and we are walking around in a little state of hypnosis until between the ages of 7 and 8. And we are taking in everything, all of our experiences, all of the things people tell us, everything we see other people doing to each other. And we're assigning meaning to that behavior. And then we're using that meaning that we've assigned to write sort of a blueprint in our subconscious mind.
Right.
So we're creating our life patterns for our whole life by the time we're 7, right? Which is crazy.
Yeah. Right.
So then between the ages of 7 and 8, there's something called the critical factor, and it gets placed between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And I call it the gatekeeper. So have you ever had someone give you a compliment that you really didn't believe and it feels like it kind of bounces off of you?
Yeah. You look great today. And you're like, no, I don't think I don't look great, or I don't feel great.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So what's happening is that information's coming into our mind and the gatekeeper's going, wait a minute. I need to see if this lines up with what's in my subconscious programming in that blueprint. And if it doesn't, get it out of here. Right. And so this is why willpower runs out, because it's just hitting up against the critical factor over and over and over, and it wears out, right? Yeah. So the reason we want to get into the subconscious mind is because it drives over 95% of everything we think, feel, and do. And it's the powerhouse of our mind, but it's guarded very well. And for good reason, so that we can protect things that we believe in the most. But the problem is if those belief systems were formed in a way that isn't actually correct, right? They weren't formed with a lot of discernment or understanding, then they can become limiting for us as we move forward in life. And then they're stopping us from being able to break the habit or move into a different way of being until we can get in there and reframe those core beliefs.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And, I was thinking about, so when I do my life coaching, we were taught about like the birthrights, right? And I take people back to like age 3 or 5, and we talk about the birthrights and the beliefs that are imprinted, and we talk about imprints, in the brain, same kind of thing. So some of my clients, patients may understand what you're talking about, because we do some of this work too, but this is totally deeper work than what I do. And I want to point that out. I do not do hypnosis by any means. I kind of unravel some things and unlayer some layers to the onion of our lives, if you will, but this is completely different. Yeah. So, okay. So yes, we have the subconscious and the conscious, right? And, okay. So, and when you were talking about this and you were talking about, I was thinking about habits, right? And like specifically, I was talking about like the ability to lose weight and weight loss and habits to do that. Like I work on habits with people, but I'm thinking about some of my clients now, and I'm like, I wonder if this would be good for them, because that final little piece, that they have, or even to getting out of their sickness, right? This next little level. So let's just talk about one thing, weight loss for right now, because I know that's a big thing for everybody.
Yeah.
The topic to talk about. So let's talk about how someone with weight loss right now is out there struggling, like they just need that next little layer. So tell me a little bit about how you could help them with that, or how you do that.
Yeah, weight loss clients are great. The thing is, there are lots of those, of course, limiting beliefs that we're talking about that can cause us to cope in certain ways. And when we're emotionally eating, we're coping, trying to feed a feeling or emotion that isn't actually hunger. And so the process of hypnosis helps my clients to go back and figure out what these feelings are, when they started, and what the belief system is around it. But the other thing that it does is it helps them tune into the feelings in their body. So we want to reassociate to the sensations and the feelings that our body is sending us. And we have been conditioned over most of our life to kind of set that aside and just, plow through life, right? So if you think about it, like the way that a baby has to learn to potty train, they have to learn to feel that feeling before they go. Right.
Like the urge
that urge. So they have to be tuned into the sensation. Right. Yeah. So my weight loss clients, I help them get tuned into the sensation in their body so that they're able to read those signals accurately. So it's like the lights on a dashboard of a car, right? If the oil light's on and all you do is put gas in the car, you're going to burn up your engine.
Right.
And if all we're doing with all of the different emotions that we have, which are all good, by the way, no bad emotions.
Right.
If all we're doing is feeding it with food, that doesn't, the food doesn't help loneliness. It doesn't help depression. It doesn't help frustration and anger and all of these other feelings. But it's the most available way to self-medicate, right? And so a feeling comes up and we end up eating based on the feeling because we aren't able to discern the difference between all the feelings. And so that's probably the biggest breakthrough that my clients have, is the ability to discern the difference between their feelings and then meet the need that they actually have when it's not hunger.
That is huge. That is so huge. You hit the nail on the head, because that's something when my clients come to me who have weight loss issues, like we work on the habits, right? We work on some of the past behaviors and stuff, but I don't do the deep stuff like this. That's so deep down inside, and that you hit it. And the emotion, food is emotional. And behind everything we eat is there's an emotion behind it.
Yes.
And everything we eat, there's an emotion behind it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, I'm not an emotional food eater. I eat it just because I need to fuel my body. And I'm like, so food, I love pizza. Like that's probably, if you were to say, what's your favorite food? I say, I love pizza. And it does make me feel good. I'm like, Friday nights, like tomorrow night, I'm like, that's our pizza night. Like that makes me feel good. End of the night, end of the week. It's a little bit of a junky food, but it makes me feel good. It tastes good. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Totally. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the thing is, when we're kids, we don't have a lot of options. So we have things that come into our life and we have limited resources to solve those problems. And a lot of times we didn't have parents who helped us emotionally regulate or understand our feelings or help us meet those needs in a real way. But one thing we had was food. It was there, and then problems were still there, and they kept coming, and there was always more food, right? And so we just get conditioned, especially by the way our society lives, in sort of this fast-paced, disconnected way where our parents are running around like chickens with their heads cut off, and we were shuffling around to school and sports and whatever. And, none of us learned that stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to shift gears here and talk a little bit about this relational connection program. Okay. And see if, just tell me a little about that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, before I did this, I was a relational recovery coach for women, primarily in emotionally destructive relationships. But the focus of where I'm going with that program now is that it's more about healing yourself first and connecting to yourself in a deep, authentic way to get back to the truest version of yourself and really discover your own self-worth.
Yes.
And then taking that from that place, moving into how you connect with other people, how you connect with your spouse, how you connect with your kids, how you connect with the people in your life in a way that doesn't cause harm and damage and disconnection. It's about co-regulation. It's about boundaries, respect, and mutuality, right? But trying to tackle that before you've gotten to the point of connecting to yourself and really understanding your own self-worth can be disastrous, because then we react to the things that other people say and do based on unhealed hurts inside of ourselves. And so it's more reactionary than it is connected. And so it's really important for people to connect to themselves and their own self-worth, and then make the connection with the partner a little bit more secondary to that.
I know I work a lot with people on self-care and self-love. Do you talk about that a lot? Self-love and loving themselves before loving others?
Oh, absolutely. Every single client, whether they're a part of that program or just a regular hypnosis client, I talk a lot about self-love and self-acceptance and the fact that we're born worthy. And you can hear that in your head, but until you've received it on a heart level, that you truly are lovable and worthy right where you are, right? That's a really important piece that so many people are still striving to become worthy by accomplishing the things that they believe make them worthy, right? Or looking a certain way, or but really getting to that deep sense of self-worth from the beginning of your process is going to help you relate to everyone else in your world, but mostly yourself, right?
Right. And I'm thinking of some people I know that have had past trauma, like physical, mental, even maybe some sexual abuse. I've known some people like that. And that seems to take their worthiness down big time. And it affects every avenue of their life continuing into adulthood, right? So as a let's take this full circle here. So as a hypnotist, that's how you're called, right? A hypnotist.
Yep.
So let's say someone comes into you, has some past trauma, maybe some physical, mental abuse, maybe sexual abuse. I don't know. Just saying any kind of abuse in general is yucky. So you've worked with those kind of patients before?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, lots and lots.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Lots. Okay. Gotcha. So say a person's out there listening to this right now and they're like, that's me. I have trauma. How can she help me? Like, what is the difference between like you and going to and I've been to and these people have been to counseling and, and stuff. Tell me a little bit of difference of what they're going to experience with you.
Yeah. Well, and counseling's great. I mean, every modality has its thing, right? But primarily we're sitting there talking in our conscious mind when we're sitting in counseling. And a lot of people feel like they're just kind of going over the same stuff over and over, and they get better understanding about it, but they don't feel better, right? Yes. So in hypnosis, you're able to, once again, go back to the root cause. And so we can follow that back and we can find out where that belief system started and reframe how someone believes about it, because the natural thing for kids to do is to blame themselves, right? Things happen when we're young and we think we must have done something wrong. We attracted this. We weren't good, whatever. So you're able to go back and reframe that whole belief system, telling that younger part of you, this was never your fault. It wasn't your job to be the grown-up. And changing how you feel about that then carries through. So I want you to think about our life the way that you think about the rings inside of a tree. So if you cut down a tree, there's a tiny little ring in the very middle, and that was just the sapling, right? It's just the tiniest tree, but it's still in there. It didn't go anywhere. And all of those versions of us didn't go anywhere either. And so when we go and reframe it for the younger part of ourselves, that carries through into all the other future layers of our life, so that we can move forward knowing a different reality now, right? And having a deeper sense of self-worth, knowing that it wasn't your fault.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Yeah. So how many sessions does it take for someone to actually get like an aha moment or get some kind of transformation? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 10? Or is everybody different?
Well, the thing is, you can't predict an aha moment, right?
Right.
But I love it when they happen. I don't do single sessions because even though hypnosis is incredibly rapid, it also is rewiring neural pathways, and you do need some repetition. And there's also a process to follow. So my process is about finding the root cause and then eliminating the limiting beliefs and things that might be holding you back through the middle. And then toward the end of our sessions, we get to the point where you're able to embody the new you that you want to be and actually feel that and experience it, right? And so typically that takes about 5 sessions. And my sessions, they're about 90 minutes long. So they're fairly significant, but it takes about 5 sessions. But that can vary depending on the issue that someone's coming in for or their background.
Right. And then from there, so again, this is all new information for me too. So say someone does 5 sessions with you, then do you just like cut them off and they come back like as a maintenance for when they need you, or are they cured or they heal? Tell me about that. How that works.
Yeah. Most people feel a difference after their very first session.
Yeah.
And progressively better and better before they're done. And most clients don't ever come back unless it's for a separate issue. However, weight loss clients tend to like to have some ongoing help. And so because in 5 sessions, that's 5 weeks, and typically they haven't made it to their goal by then, even though they've usually lost weight, there's more time involved. And so it's very often that weight loss clients will come back for either every 2 weeks or once a month, a couple times, just to kind of make sure they know that they've got some accountability. And if anything comes up for them, any emotional trigger that they didn't have, dealt with the first time, they're able to deal with it a little bit more, but not always. Sometimes the end of the 5 sessions, they're fine.
Okay. Gotcha. Anything else you want to share? I mean, we've talked about quite a bit. I think we've got the nuts and the bolts and the specifics of anything else you want to share that you really want to get out to the listeners about hypnosis and that what you found, or something that you really think they should know.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I could go on
I
and
know.
on all day. It's so fascinating. I love it.
You just got to go see Ketra, you guys.
Right. It's so great.
Experience it.
And I think that I want people to know this is for all ages. Like I have specialized training for kids and teens as well.
Nice. Okay.
So I love working with kids and teenagers have so many less layers to peel back. And they're usually so excited about it. Like it's so fun to work with them. So, instead of waiting until you've exhausted every other thing to do, I'd love it if people thought about calling their hypnotist anytime life brought them an issue that they felt like was a little overwhelming or too much to handle, right? Because it's so rapid and it really helps people get to the place where they need to get. Anxiety, I have so many anxiety clients that are just really have been struggling before they did this and tried all the medications and done all of the things. And it's made such a difference in their life. And so I think, we think of hypnosis as, oh, well, it's just for stopping smoking or whatever, but it really isn't. There isn't any issue that you cannot address in hypnosis.
I love it. So weight loss, past trauma. I mean, not just, I know that's when I think smoking, and you're not going to turn into a monkey. You're not going to convert people into a monkey when they leave. So what about, I'll be honest, I'm a little scared to get hypnotized and just because I'm such a control freak.
I totally get it. And let me tell you why it's not scary. Okay. It's normal. First of all, we go into a state of hypnosis on our own all the time. You've gone into hypnosis thousands of times in your life. We go into hypnosis as we're going to sleep. We're in hypnosis a little bit as we wake up. You've probably been driving somewhere before and you zone out and you get home and you're like, how did I get here? I did
that the other day.
Yeah. That's how
I was like, where am I going?
Totally. And our subconscious mind just takes over. That is a light form of hypnosis. Or how about like you've gone to bed and you've noticed like you have a big bruise on your leg or a cut or something. And you're like, how did that happen?
How did I get that?
Because you were so focused on something else that you literally were in hypnosis, which is an analgesia effect where you aren't feeling the pain, right? So it's totally safe. It's totally natural. And we go into hypnosis on our own all the time. The difference between that and what I'm doing though, is mine is, getting you there purposefully, right? With an induction that helps you get to relaxed state of focused attention so that you can accomplish what you want to do and what you want to change, right? So you're never out of control. You're not asleep. You're always conscious. You can always answer any questions. You can, if you fall asleep, you're just taking a really expensive nap. You want to be able to hear everything, right?
Yeah. That's funny. And I've seen like where they take the little dial and they go back and forth. You're not doing that, right?
No, I don't do any of that. Matter of fact, I don't even touch my clients. Like there's hypnosis inductions where you do touch your client's hands and stuff, but I use completely no touch.
You're not going to tap me on the shoulder and be like I said, like be a duck or whatever.
No, I promise.
That's why we're on today, because I wanted to clear the air about that, because I'm learning things too, because that's how I see it when I've been to like realtor parties and things like that.
Totally.
We'd have hypnosis and then people get up and then they make fools of themselves. And so it scared the bejesus out of me. And I'd be like, I ain't doing that. I'm going to be an idiot. Everybody can remember me.
Nothing like that. The truth is nobody ever is going to do something they don't want to do. And so that critical
they want to be monkeys.
Right. Like that critical factor is it's funny. There. But it's we're bypassing it, but it never fully goes away. So if someone told you something in hypnosis that didn't line up with something you wanted or you believed, it might even throw you out of hypnosis. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Wow, this is so cool. It's so cool. Oh my gosh, there's so much I want to know. I'm going to have to, I know we've been talking, I got to set up a point with you myself, but everybody, I just want to say too, I mean, everybody has a past. Everybody has a past.
Yes,
everybody has something. I had a great childhood. I don't have any, but I still have some things, right, that I've been through, some trauma. And I know that I have some days where I don't feel, you going back to the worthy,
Yes.
And there's some days where I don't feel worthy. I don't feel worthy enough to do this job. I question what I'm doing. I question, am I really making a difference in this world? Am I doing things right? We're always hard on ourselves,
Are.
Yeah.
And I think people think of trauma in a wrong way. They think it's someone who had something violent happen to them or a big thing. When trauma's not, it's a continued pattern of something you can't stop. Maybe it's excessive neglect. Maybe it's not even because the parent wanted to, but because they had to work 2 jobs. So a lot of times it's not the things that happen, but the things that don't happen. The things we needed in a moment of nurturing guidance from a parent or caregiver that didn't happen, right? And so it can leave us feeling confused or doubting ourselves.
Right. And I want to talk about, we'll conclude with this, but I want to talk about trauma. So like me, I have the Lyme disease, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I almost died like twice in 1 year. I went through a lot with my Lyme disease and eradicating it and going through the struggle and stuff. So there's physical trauma, definitely, but there's that mental trauma I went through.
Yes.
And, I've kind of talked about this, and I'm getting really raw with people right now and open about this, and that's something I want to talk to you about because I know that I still need to deal with some of that trauma that I've been through. It wasn't my parents abused me or anything like that, but the trauma. And so like with me and my clients that I have, a lot of them have health trauma.
Yes.
Right. Health is going through an illness, a chronic illness is trauma. Maybe they went through a cancer diagnosis or went through cancer with a family member,
right?
Something like that. So all of that is definitely in the subconscious, the conscious, that trauma. And if we don't deal with that crap, it's going to sit on our shoulders like a knapsack the rest of our lives. And it's going to keep showing up. Right.
Yeah, it's like walking around with a big anchor tied to a rope, and that rope's tied around your waist, and you're really trying to move forward, but it's just digging in, and it's so much resistance, right? We want to cut that free and reframe that so we can let it go.
Yes.
But absolutely, it can be all kinds of things, and medical and health traumas are very common.
Yeah. It's, and then if we want to wrap this up by saying COVID, right? The last couple of years with COVID, the loved ones that we've lost, the people that have suffered, the post-COVID, the long haulers, the trauma of COVID going on right now. That's something else that I would say everybody on this planet, literally, unless you're hiding under a rock, has been affected by that.
They have.
So even if there's something with, like COVID that you need to deal with, and maybe that would be something that someone could talk to you about and kind of let go of some of that post-trauma.
I agree. It really, all of that stuff can be dealt with in hypnosis. And I can see even with my teenage clients who've kind of gone through these teen years of being in COVID, they are disconnected and there's trauma from the level of disconnection that they've had from other people that's causing like huge amounts of anxiety in them. And it's very real.
Yeah, it is. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for sure. Wow. Gosh. Okay. So we're going to wrap this up. This is so exciting. This is so fun. We'll have to maybe have you on again because we'll talk about another topic or something. Yeah. But this is so much fun. So Ketra, how can people find you to make an appointment with you?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I could give out my office phone number, I guess, too. My website's probably the easiest way to find you.
Tell them your website. I will put the link below for everybody, all the listeners too.
And
but go ahead and
just
shout
my
out.
name. It's just KetraThompson.com, KetraThompson.
Okay.
And I work with clients both in person and on Zoom from all over the country. So it doesn't really matter where you live. I can work with anyone from anywhere.
That's awesome. Okay, cool.
And I offer free consultations to see if we're a good fit to work together. And there's a link that you can pick the date and time that works for you right on my website. It's really easy.
Okay, excellent. And do you have any, you have the website, do you have an IG link or Facebook link or anything like that too?
I do. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and of course my YouTube channel. So I can give you all of those.
Yeah, I'll get those from you. I'll put the links below for all the listeners out there so they can just click on it to find you that way. And I'll get that from you as soon as we're done here. So, great. Thanks again for being on. This was so exciting. I learned
so much, Tavia.
Yeah, this is great. So, all right. Well, we'll wrap it up. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Sweet Life Coaching Podcast. To learn more about the topics mentioned on today's show, please visit sweetcoachtavia.com.